I am going to tell you a story that sounds strange, but it could change the way you spend your time and energy forever. Imagine this: you are walking down the street, thinking about your day, your work, or your dreams. Everything is calm. Then you hear a loud jangling bell. Curious, you look up and see a street magician performing amazing tricks. Coins flying, fire spinning, colors exploding. It's so exciting that you stop and watch. You laugh, clap, maybe even shout in surprise. Before you know it, an hour has passed or more. Your focus is gone, your energy is spent, and you haven't done anything you planned for the day. The magician is not just performing for fun. Every time you react, clapping, gasping, shouting, other people notice too. More people gather. They start filming, sharing, tipping, or posting about the show. The magician makes money, gets fame, and grows his audience, all because people like you gave him the attention and energy. The more emotional your reactions, surprise, excitement, even anger, the bigger the crowd and the more successful the magician becomes. You might think, I'm just watching one trick, but in reality, your reaction is part of how he grows and benefits. The magician only has the power if you react. The moment you notice the bell, smile, and keep walking, you take your energy back, your focus on your life, your work, your goals, while the magician can no longer feed on you. This is not a story about a magician. It is a story about how your attention is quietly taken and used every day. In reality, something is always calling you for your attention, whether it is your phone, the news, social media, trends, drama, or constant comparison with others. These attention grabbing forces are what Vadim Zeland calls pendulums. A pendulum is anything that wants your attention and energy. It does not care about you, only that you react emotionally to it. Social media posts, viral videos, political arguments, gossip, or even popular cultural trends are the examples of pendulums. A pendulum wants you to react because reaction equals energy. They only live when people give them energy. Pendulum feed on strong feelings like anger, fear, excitement, envy, or outrage. When you give energy to pendulum, you have less energy for your own goals and your own life. The most dangerous part is that you rarely realize when you are feeding a pendulum. There is no clear moment where you consciously decide to give away your energy. Instead, it happens smoothly and quietly. You might start by just checking a notification, then feel anger, excitement, envy, or curiosity. And before you know it, your focus, the time, and energy have been drained. Just like the magician in the story, pendulums benefit from your reaction, your emotions, attention, and engagement becomes their fuel. Every like, share, comment, or argument strengthens them, while your energy is taken away from your own goals and your own life. The more people react together, the stronger the pendulum becomes, creating a cycle that is difficult to notice until it has already taken much of your energy. As they grow stronger, you slowly lose something important without realizing: your focus, your creativity, and your ability to move towards your own goals. This is why many people feel exhausted at the end of the day, even though they haven't not built anything meaningful. Once you understand the concept of pendulums, one rule becomes clear: where your attention goes, your life energy goes. The moment you stop reacting and simply observe without giving them energy, the pendulum loses its power over you and your energy comes back. When this happens, you can finally use your attention and energy to build your own life instead of feeding someone else's system. Most people don't live their life, they live the life dictated by pendulums. Your attention is like money. You only get a limited amount each day, and every time you react to something, someone else's drama, trend, or outrage, it's like you are spending your energy currency on them instead of your own life. Be aware where you are spending it. Now that you understand the lesson that the pendulum feed on your attention and energy, and reacting unconsciously takes energy away from your own life, let's break it down logically, step by step, so you can see exactly how it happens. Well, we will explore it in detail so you can build awareness and learn to choose before you act. Instead of reacting automatically, by understanding the process, you will be able to notice the moment a pendulum tries to pull you in and decide whether you want to give it your energy or keep it for your own goals and life. This is not just theory, it is a practical tool to recognize the pull, stop wasting energy, and act consciously. Now, let's start with the very first step: the bell. Before a pendulum ever pulls you in, before you feel anger, excitement, fear, or desire, there is always a first moment. And this moment is what Vadim Zeland calls the bell. The bell is the initial interruption, the moment that your attention is called outward, away from your life and towards something else. At that moment, you are calm, neutral, and fully engaged in your own life. You are doing your thing, thinking about your thoughts, and focused on your goals. Then something happens that interrupts your state. That interruption is the bell. The bell is anything that pulls your attention outward without asking for your permission. It does not wait for you to decide or think. It appears before choice, automatically, pre-rationally. It could be the vibration of your phone, a sudden thought like, am I falling behind? A change in someone's tone, a headline that catches your eye, a memory popping up, a comparison with someone else, or even a sudden urge to check something online. The bell is the first tug on your attention, and it happens before you even know you are reacting. This step is crucial because the most people never notice the bell. They believe the real problem is anger, distraction, addiction, or bad habits. But Zeland points out that the real problem is an awareness of the moment of interruption. If you miss it, everything that follows feels automatic. You think, that's just how I am, and you believe you have no choice. The truth is, choice exists only at the moment of the bell, before reaction, before emotion, before thought. Inside you, the bell creates a tiny, almost imperceptible shift. Your attention moves away from your center. The inner silence you had is broken. Your nervous system activates slightly, and your awareness starts to turn outward. These micro shifts last less than a second, which is why it is so easy to miss. And yet, this tiny moment determines whether you continue living your life or get pulled into someone else's system. A simple way to notice it is to ask yourself, was I peaceful 1 second ago? If the answer is yes, and now something feels urgent, simulating, or pulling, then that is the bell. Notice that it is not the content, the meaning, or the story that matters. What matters is the pull itself. Not all bells are bad. Hunger, pain, and real danger are bells, and they deserve attention. A pendulum bell, however, has a unique signature. It demands your attention but does not improve your immediate life. It creates noise, not clarity, motion, not direction, simulation, not action. Pendulums start here because attention is energy. Before thought, before emotion, before belief, attention moves first. Pendulums do not control people directly. Instead, they redirect attention. And once attention is redirected, energy follows, feeding the pendulum while your life stands still. The bell is the first point of transaction. Your attention, which is limited and valuable like currency, is being offered to something external. If you notice it and choose wisely, you keep your energy for your own life. If you miss, you unconsciously spend your attention feeding the pendulum while losing energy for your own goals. Step 2. The reaction. After the bell rings, if you stop, look, or pay attention, the next stage begins. Reaction. This is the moment when your attention, which is your energy, is first spent outside yourself. At this point, the pendulum begins to feed on you, your thoughts, your feelings, your focus. Every bit of your inner energy becomes a resource for something else that does not care about you personally. Reaction can take many forms. It might be excitement when something amazing appears, anger at something unjust, fear at a warning, envy at someone else's success, or worry over a problem that is not yours. Each emotional response, whether big or small, is a transaction of energy. Your energy is moving outward, like money being spent, into the pendulum. The pendulum grows stronger with every reaction because energy is its fuel. At this point, most people don't even realize what is happening. They believe their reactions are their own choice. And they rarely stop to ask, is this serving my life? The truth is, every time you react, you are transferring a portion of your energy to something external, feeding it, strengthening it, and often creating momentum that pulls in more people. Just like giving money to a business, your attention and energy are now resources that the pendulum can use to expand, influence others, or grow its power. Inside you, reaction feels urgent. Your mind races, your emotions flare, and your body reacts almost automatically. The pendulum thrives in this state because strong emotions are high value energy. Excitement, anger, outrage, fear, envy, they all provide a rich supply of attention that keeps the pendulum alive and expanding. Meanwhile, your own inner focus, your creativity, your calm reasoning, and your goals are diminished. You may feel busy, but all the energy you spent is supporting something outside yourself. The key insight here is that reaction is where transaction becomes visible. Your attention has moved outward and the pendulum has received its energy. Every clap, comment, scroll, or emotional flare is like depositing money into a system that grows stronger from your contribution, while your own life goals remains unfunded. At this stage, choice still exists, but it becomes harder to notice. You can react automatically, feeding the pendulum without thinking, or you can pause and redirect your attention inward, keeping your energy for your own priorities. This is why Zeland emphasizes awareness. If you notice the first micro shift, the bell, you have the chance to avoid the energy transfer entirely. If you miss it, reaction becomes habitual and the pendulum will continue to grow at your expense. In short, this step is the moment of transaction. Attention is energy, and reaction is how it leaves your position. The pendulum benefits, your life loses. Every emotional flare, every mental tug, every I have to spend moment is part of this invisible exchange. The sooner you can see it, the sooner you can see it, the sooner you can choose to stop feeding the pendulum and keep your energy for yourself. Step 3. Amplification. Once you react, the pendulum does not just stop at taking your energy. It uses your reaction to draw in more people. This is the amplification stage, and it is where the pendulum truly begins to grow. Your emotional fear, your comment, your post, your gasp, or even your scroll is visible to others, and it signals that this pendulum is active, interesting, and worth attention. Just like a business that thrives when more customers join, the pendulum becomes stronger when more people feed it. Other people see your reactions and often react in return. They laugh, argue, comment, share, or become emotionally invested. Each person adds their energy, and now the pendulum is no longer feeding on just you, it has multiple sources. Your initial reaction has triggered a chain. Your energy pulled in others, creating momentum that can become very difficult to escape. The more people feed in, the more compelling it seems, and the stronger emotional charge it carries. From inside you, this can feel excitement, urgency, or even moral obligation. You might think, I need to comment, I need to reply, or I need to keep watching. Each of these actions is another transaction of energy, a payment to the pendulum that grows while your personal energy and focus are depleted. You are literally spending attention that could be invested in your own goals while the pendulum's influence expands. This is why Zeland emphasizes awareness. Amplification is where the pendulum becomes self sustaining. One person's attention attracts another, and soon it seems like everyone is caught up in the same wave of emotion. The pendulum does not care about your life, your dreams, or your well being. It only grows stronger with envy reaction it draws from people. Just as the company grows larger when more customers spend money, your energy, your focus, and your time are effectively being invested in something external, producing result for the pendulum while living your own life unfunded. At this stage, choice is still possible, but it requires conscious awareness. You can step back, notice that the pendulum is feeding on reactions, and decide to stop contributing your energy. By doing so, you prevent further amplification, regain control of your own attention, and redirect your energy towards your own goals, creativity, and priorities. In short, amplification is the stage where your initial energy donation attracts others, creating a self-reinforcing cycle that strengthens the pendulum and drains your life energy. The moment you see this happening, you can decide whether to continue feeding it or withdraw your energy and reclaim your focus. Step 4. The life drain. After their reaction and amplification, the pendulum enters the stage that Zeland warns about most, the life drain. This is the stage where the energy you keep giving often without realizing it start to steal from your own life in a way that feels normal, even unavoidable. Every glance, every scroll, every emotional reaction becomes a small but constant transaction of energy. Over hours, days, or even years, these transactions accumulate, leaving you with less energy, less focus, and less motivation for your own goals. You may not notice it immediately. It feels like busyness, engagement, or staying informed. You might think, I'm just keeping up, or I am just participating. Yet the pendulum has already taken the attention. You could have invested in writing your story, building your skills, creating, or simply enjoying a life in peace. Your energy has been spent outside yourself, producing result for the pendulum, while your own projects, goals, and inner focus languish. The process is subtle because it starts with a small reaction, checking a notification, reading a headline, getting upset and comment, but it compounds. Each reaction is a micro payment that strengthens the pendulum and weakens your life's energy reserves. Over time, this can leave people feeling tired, distracted, anxious, or unproductive without fully understanding why. The pendulum, however, has grown stronger, more self sustaining, and more capable of pulling in other because it now has a constant supply of emotional fuel. This is why Zinland emphasizes awareness from the very first step, the ball. If you notice the moment your attention is being called, you can choose not to react. If you miss it, you give away energy that could have gone to yourself, and the pendulum slowly but surely drains your life. The life drain stage is visible results of all previous energy transactions. Your attention, your emotion, and your focus have been constantly spent outside yourself, creating a system that thrives when your own life stalls. The key insight here is that your attention is limited, like currency. Every second spent reacting, scrolling, or engaging with a pendulum is a transaction that pays the pendulum and leaves your own goals unpaid. The way to stop the life drain is simple in concept but requires practice. Notice the bell, avoid unnecessary reactions, and direct your attention back to your own priorities. By reclaiming your energy, you ensure that your life, your project, and your goals get the investment they deserve rather than feeding an external system that only grows from your attention. Step 5: Mastery: protecting your energy and taking back your life. After understanding the bell, reaction, amplification, and life drain, the final step is mastery, the stage where you learn to control your attention and decide consciously where your energy goes. Mastery is the point at which you no longer give your energy unconsciously to external systems that do not care about you, and instead invest in your own life, goals, and priorities. Mastery begins with awareness. You must notice the bell immediately. The first subtle tug that interrupts your calm and pulls your attention outward. At that moment, you realize this is a choice point. You can react and feed the pendulum, or can pause and redirect your attention to what truly matters to you. This micro movement is the key to controlling your energy because it is the first transaction point. Recognizing it allows you to decide consciously whether your energy will be spent outside yourself or retained for your own life. The next part of the mastery is emotional control. Pendulum feed most effectively on strong emotions: anger, fear, excitement, envy, outrage, or obsession. When you feel these urges arise, mastery means noticing them without automatically acting. You may feel an impulse to comment, a scroll, urge, or share, but instead of reacting, you observe the emotion, acknowledge it, and choose not to give it energy. This is like holding your currency in your hand instead of handing it over to someone else. Every avoided reaction is a small deposit to energy back into your own life, rather than into the pendulum growths. Every avoided reaction is a small deposit of energy back to your life rather than into the pendulum's growth. Mastery also involves setting boundaries for attention. You can decide in advance what you will focus on, what notifications you will respond to, and what mental distractions you will allow. By structuring your attention deliberately, You reduce the number of unnecessary transactions of energy that strengthen pendulums and drain your life. This is like managing your money wisely. You budget where it goes, invest in what matters, and avoid wasting it on the things that produce no real return.